Hey guys, in this video I'll share why losing weight can be especially challenging for women. It has to do with our hormones, or more specifically when our hormones are out of balance and how that affects our metabolism. And I'll share 5 tips to minimize these effects that may even help balance out these hormones so that you may lose weight more easily without having to go to the extremes of starving yourself, doing tons of exercise, or eliminating carbs from your diet, which can all have the opposite effect of what you actually want. It can slow down your metabolism. In case you don't know me, I'm Ingunn, a Norwegian Viking. I help people lose weight using a bit of a different method based on nutrition and weight loss science and how it affects our metabolism, so that you can actually keep the weight off long term. This has helped me transform my own body and life and so many others. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel and let's dive into this video. So what is it that can make losing weight especially challenging for us women, and what can we do about it? As you may know, estrogen and progesterone are 2 very important hormones for us women, and these hormones can affect our weight. During our menstrual cycles, these hormones fluctuate. That's how our bodies are designed. And you may have noticed that you gain weight more easily during certain parts of your cycle. Now, just a quick note, you may have heard that as you approach and go through menopause, you may naturally gain weight due to the hormonal changes that your body is going through. However, that's not necessarily the case. Menopause doesn't necessarily cause weight gain in and of itself. If you do end up gaining weight around that time, it may be due to an imbalance of hormones, rather than just the natural adjustments our hormones are supposed to go through during that time. We'll get back to this later in this video. Though, no matter if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, if you're finding that you gain weight very easily or that it's especially difficult for you to lose weight, you may have something called estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance is an imbalance between the ratio of estrogen to progesterone. More specifically, if you have estrogen dominance, it means that you have too much estrogen compared to progesterone. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have a lot of estrogen. It could be the case, though it could also be the case that you simply have too little progesterone. Take a look at this illustration right here. I know there are a lot of terms here that you might not be familiar with, though notice that it shows that for an obese woman, there is an imbalance. There is an excess of estrogen. And to balance things out, they add in progesterone to oppose the excess estrogen. You see, these 2 hormones work synergistically within our body. Both are important, though if you don't have enough progesterone to balance out estrogen, you may end up getting into trouble, and you may end up gaining excess fat. We'll look at 5 tips to minimize these effects, or that may even help improve this imbalance of hormones shortly. Though first, let's look at why this can affect your weight in the first place. And one of the reasons this can affect your weight is due to how estrogen can increase cortisol. Cortisol is another hormone within your body that's usually secreted during times of stress. Not only when you feel stressed, but when your body is going through something stressful. For example, when having excess estrogen. And even though cortisol is a very useful hormone, we do not want it to be elevated over time, as it can both increase hunger and slow down your metabolism. Obviously, that's something we would want to avoid if we're trying to lose weight, as it would only make our weight loss journey that much more difficult, right? Now, as mentioned, progesterone can in a way help balance out estrogen. So it's not only important to not have too much estrogen, we also want to make sure we don't have too little progesterone. And there is some evidence to suggest that having too little progesterone can negatively affect our thyroid function, which is a very important part of our metabolism. So we can see how these hormones are not only important for our reproductive health, they can also affect our metabolism and our weight. If they are out of balance, it's only going to make it that much more challenging to lose weight. Now, even if you don't know if you have an imbalance in your estrogen to progesterone ratio, the 5 tips I'm going to share with you now can still be of great benefit to you, as they may not only help with respect to these hormones, they can be great for your health and weight loss in general. So you're going to want to take care of your gut. Actually, it's said that one of the principal regulators of circulating estrogen is in the gut microbiome. So one of the main things that controls how much estrogen you have circulating within your body is your gut, or rather all those tiny microorganisms that you have living inside your gut. And there's even some evidence to suggest that some toxins that are formed from certain bacteria living inside your gut can cause a decrease in progesterone expression. So the health of your gut is very, very important for many reasons, including your hormones. Now, the biggest factor that affects the bacteria living inside your gut is the food that you eat. You'll want to avoid any foods that can cause irritation or damage your gut, or that may cause an unnatural change to your microbiome. And that includes food additives. I've talked about food additives before and how crazy it is that something so tiny can have such a big effect on our weight. I share specific additives to watch out for in that video, so if you haven't watched it yet, you should definitely check it out. You'll find the link to that video in the description of this video. You may also want to limit foods high in phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens are compounds found in food that can act like estrogen within our body. They can basically mimic estrogen. Foods with some of the more potent phytoestrogens include soy, sunflower, and many legumes. Phytoestrogens are also found in grains like corn, wheat, barley, and oats. Next up, avoid xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens, that's probably not the correct pronunciation, so feel free to butcher me on that. Anyway, these are also compounds that mimic estrogen within our body. Actually, it's said that the scientific consensus on xenoestrogens characterizes them as serious environmental hazards that have hormone disruptive effects on both wildlife and humans, including disrupting the normal estrogen response. Also, current literature has shown that many xenoestrogens disrupt thyroid function through their influence on the thyroidal hormones T3 and T4. Remember, our thyroid is a very important part of our metabolism, so if it affects our thyroid function, it can seriously affect our metabolism. So, not so surprisingly, many xenoestrogens have been shown to cause obesity in animals at low level exposure. DES and BPA have been implicated as environmental chemicals that increase fat accumulation, facilitating obesity. Sounds like something you're going to want to avoid, doesn't it? Now, the tricky part is that these compounds may be found in so many different places. You're probably exposed to a lot of them on a daily basis, including in cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, plastics. It's certainly possible to find more natural cosmetics these days. Sometimes you can even make things at home, especially things like body lotion, deodorant, even sunscreen. When it comes to plastics, one of the things that I try to be more mindful about is what I store and heat my food in. So I've bought glass containers for my food. It's basically impossible to avoid these compounds completely in this modern world, so do what you can. Even if you just make some small changes here and there, over time, it can really add up and make a big difference. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate if you give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below if you'd like, and also remember that you may find lots more tips on my Instagram profile at Viking Ingun. Next thing you'll want is to make it a priority to de-stress. Remember that it's important to not have too little progesterone. Well, progesterone is actually a precursor in cortisol biosynthesis, which basically means that the body will use progesterone in order to make cortisol. Some people therefore claim that if your body needs to create high levels of cortisol over time, which again is a stress hormone, it will basically deplete your body of progesterone. In the short term, it may actually ramp up the production of progesterone, likely in order to keep up with the high demand of cortisol, though over time that may become challenging. Now, even though all of this sounds like it makes a lot of sense, I didn't actually find any studies confirming this. I don't doubt that it's true, though take it with a grain of salt. Either way, we know that estrogen can increase cortisol, and we know that cortisol can have a negative effect on our weight. What also increases cortisol is stress, both mental stress and physical stress. So if there's a chance we have estrogen dominance, it's even more important that we keep our stress levels to a minimum, physical and mental stress. And some of the stressors you may want to avoid in addition to mental stress include regular cold plunges, excessive exercise, calorie restriction, not eating enough nutritious foods, jugging water all day long, which can deplete your body of nutrients, vegetable oils and other foods that increases oxidative stress within the body, etc. And yes, calorie restriction and excessive exercise can be extremely stressful to the body. A lot of women even lose their periods that way, which obviously means their hormone balance is completely off. And even if you manage to become skinny like that, you may create a prison for yourself where you have to keep your calories very low and exercise a lot in order not to gain excess fat again. It's definitely not a great place to be. Now, before we talk about tip number 5, I just want to mention that if you do want help in losing weight without having to sacrifice your metabolism in the process, but rather supporting your hormones and metabolism while losing weight, then you'll want to check out my step-by-step weight loss program called Slim by Science at slimbyscience.com. In Slim by Science, I'll teach you how to lose weight without having to count calories or do tons of exercise. You'll have step-by-step video instructions, motivational check-ins, unique and simple to prepare recipes, and so much more. You'll find more information about the program and how to join at slimbyscience.com. You'll find the link in the description of this video. Now, you may also want to rethink any medications you're currently on. There are certain medications that may influence the estrogen to progesterone ratio that you may want to rethink. For example, birth control, as well as some different hormone therapies. Now, obviously, you're going to want to discuss this with your doctor. You should not make any changes before talking to your doctor about it first. It's just something to keep in mind. For example, a lot of women who are approaching menopause or are in menopause or post-menopause often take some sort of hormone therapy. They are often told that the problem is that they are not producing enough estrogen and that this is just a part of getting older, and that even a side effect of this lack of estrogen is that they may gain excess fat. However, even though there are studies suggesting that going through menopause may cause weight gain, this paper, for example, talks about several studies that show that weight gain does not appear to be affected by the hormonal changes of the menopause, meaning that going through menopause appears not to cause weight gain in and of itself. And if you take a look at women around the world, you'll find that there are tons of women out there that do not seem to gain excess fat simply because they're getting older or going through menopause. Our hormone production changes as we get older, so that doesn't automatically mean that you'll gain excess fat. Instead, if you do end up gaining weight around that period of time in your life, there's definitely a chance that you may have developed estrogen dominance. Not necessarily because you have high levels of estrogen, it could rather be that you have too little progesterone compared with estrogen. And this means you have to pay even closer attention to any hormone therapy you're taking, as some of them may contain only estrogen and could potentially make the estrogen dominance worse. Again, you'll have to talk to your doctor before making any changes to what you're taking. And that's especially important when it comes to hormones, as you do not want to make any abrupt changes. Now, if you're 35 years old or older and finding it difficult to lose weight, you're definitely going to want to check out my next video, which is all about how to lose weight after 35. As we get older, it may become more challenging to lose weight, though it's most certainly still possible, and it really doesn't need to be as challenging as some people make it out to be. It's all about how you go about it. And in my next video, I'll share 5 rules to follow in order to lose weight more effortlessly after 35. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, click that bell button, and keep an eye out for my next video. Now, even though losing weight can be especially challenging for us women if our hormones are out of balance, I do hope that you'll keep in mind what we've talked about in this video, as there's almost always something we can do in order to help the situation and make it easier for ourselves. Even just adapting our diet can have a profound effect on our hormones and metabolism. Again, if you'd like to know step by step how to lose weight without having to count calories or do tons of exercise while actually supporting your metabolism, then check out my Slim by Science program at slimbyscience.com. You'll find the link in the description of this video. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. Here are 2 videos you'll want to check out next. Enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one.